wages up across the board. So, folks, look, I'm going on too long. I apologize, but that must be my traveling staff.
Joe Biden out in Reno getting an Oscar-style music send-off after rambling on too long. Team Joe keeping a tight leash on old Yeller while he campaigns out west. They even gave Biden maximum stability sneakers to avoid falling. But no amount of fancy footwork can solve the fact that the old man's got nothing to run on. James Carville suggests Biden fill that void by going all in on Trump.
He's clearly going mad. And I would attack right now. I'd spend that money. I would jump all over him, because my feeling is when your opponent is drowning, the first thing you do is throw him or her an anvil. And that's what he needs right now. He's drowning. Give him an anvil.
Music to my ears.
Are those Halloween stores already open? Biden is already heeding that advice and turning to some good old-fashioned fear-mongering because he's losing key voters to Trump. The big guy now pumping out ads to try and win them back, but it looks like it ain't working.
In 2008 and 2012, you voted for
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. 2016,
I voted for Donald Trump.
Hillary Clinton. 2020,
Donald Trump.
Biden. And who will you vote for in 2024?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. You may vote for the former president.
I may.
Why do you say that?
My views on certain things have changed. It's just so expensive to survive. And we're planning on having kids. I don't want to live in a stressful environment trying to rub two pennies together to try to make it either.
Wow. Well, I guess according to Joe Biden, they ain't black.
Oh, I was just going to point out that it's not a surprise that they're going to put you back in chains. Joe Biden, remember that from
Mitt Romney.
2012? That was that election cycle. He tries to scare black voters into supporting him. If I were the Trump campaign, I would just run that clip.
Yeah.
Just like, and it reminds me of when Guy Benson was at the first debate and we were in Milwaukee, and he talked to an Uber driver, a woman, black woman, who said, "I've never voted for a Republican, but I have a feeling that not only might I, but everybody in my family might as well." And it was all about the economy. And even today, Larry Summers, who is a big Democrat, was trying to warn Biden about inflation for a long time. He said inflation is probably worse than they realized. So I know why he went to Wisconsin. He's going to try to figure out a way to run that up. But the problem is the awfuls that you talk about, they are all for policies like EVs, student loan forgiveness, the climate stuff that are pushing up inflation and hurting the people that the Democrats have usually been able to reach. And so I don't think that this is falling on deaf ears in the black community. Now, does that mean that President Trump can get him out there to vote for him? I think that remains to be seen. I think there's a lot that has to be done in terms of the actual get out the vote efforts at the RNC on the national level, but certainly at the state level. The state Republican committees are no bueno.
Yeah, and they want to start a family, so I guess that the abortion ruling won't have an effect on them, sadly, to all you Democrats. Jesse, I think Carville wants us to accept the premise, which is that Trump is drowning.
I mean, he's swimming backstroke around Joe Biden. He's up in every battleground. He's even up nationally, which is unheard of for a Republican candidate. And he's cruising to the nomination. It's going to be a nice convention. And Biden's afraid to debate him. I wouldn't say he's drowning at all. I mean, and then he's saying go negative. What more can Joe Biden do to go negative against Donald Trump? Launch a drone strike into Mar-a-Lago? They're going to arrest him for the 17th time? Take all of his buildings, all of his cash? What more could they call him? They've called him every name in the book. If you were a black American and you would being offered a choice, would you rather have the Trump economy? Would you rather have the Biden economy? It's a no-brainer. There was lower gas prices, only $2.47 a gallon under Trump. Rates were lower. The inflation rate averaged 1.9%. Black home ownership was up. Black wages were up extra $400 a month after 4 years. Wages are down under Joe Biden. Rates are high. Home ownership's out of reach. Gas prices are high because inflation's just eating everything.
It is, Judge, he's turning to fear mongering, but fear mongering is nothing new. Fear is an actual persuasion technique. So is this that surprising?
Well, it is surprising because that's what they've been doing for the last 3 years. So why all of a sudden are they coming up with this as like a new idea?
Yeah.
You know, the truth is what we just saw was what a lot of people are experiencing. And that is people who would never have considered voting for Trump, having lived the last 3 years under Biden, if forced to come up with an extra $11,000 a year to live the same way they lived under Trump, are saying, wait a minute, maybe Trump wasn't so bad. Wait a minute, the economy was better until COVID, of course, hit, and then they lied to all of us and told us we had to stay home and all that other stuff. But the bottom line is that you cannot be so authoritarian, so dictatorial, so totalitarian that you say you must fear this man. When the truth is the people don't fear him. They felt more freedom during Donald Trump. And, you know, they're not buying into it. And blacks are not, look, Trump is ahead with blacks at a point where Democrats would never have thought it possible, and with the Hispanics. Why? Not because they're black or Hispanic, but because they're real people. And they're saying, you know what? The economy matters to me. Safety matters to me. The Democrats aren't helping me with either. And immigration is important to me. And I'm furious because as an African American, someone in the minority community, I am suffering where illegals are taking priority over the places where I want my kids to go after school. They're taking priority where they're getting credit cards and free food, free apartments, free health care, and I have to work. You know what? Blacks, minorities, everybody are like, I just want to live and make money, have my family safe.
Jessica, you know that I'm easily frightened. What scares me is war, attacks on free speech, unchecked crime, city disorder and chaos. That happened under Joe Biden. Who should be fear-mongering? I believe it should be me.
Well, there are new crime stats. I know you love
Yeah,
when
but
I
the crime
talk about that.
stats are off. You know that.
Oh.
Those aren't
They're
accurately
comparing
reported.
it actually to the
If you
summer
want
of
to pivot,
2020.
we could talk about the crime stats. I have it right here, as a matter of fact. According to the Gutfeld Institute of Statistics, most crime statistics are fallible because most aren't being reported correctly. That's from the Gutfeld Institute
Heard that
of
one
Statistics.
before. Yeah. I will not be sending you a big fat check for next year's research on that. The Biden campaign recognizes a very real issue with the soft vote with Latinos and Black Americans. The $30 million that they have rolling out after the State of the Union is going primarily into those markets, and they absolutely should. It's important, of course, to have Spanish language ads. Up to 20% of the Latino population speak Spanish, see ads in their own language. I wouldn't consider it fear-mongering, though, to tell people things that Donald Trump is saying, because we have seen that there is this void where people don't remember the things that he said in rally speeches or when he was president. They don't remember details of the Trump economy. And you did. You were correct in the time frame of this. And the Trump economy was going well, and then COVID hit. That doesn't mean that it wasn't the Trump economy. It still means, for instance, that Black unemployment is lower under President Biden than it was under Donald Trump, that we're creating millions more jobs under Joe Biden. And this is when it was, quote, healthy under Donald Trump, that millions more people have health care under Joe Biden than under Donald Trump. And yes, you're right. The Real Clear Politics average, our favorite, does have Trump up 1.7, I think it is today, 1.8. But there have been 5 polls since the State of the Union that have Biden up. And we know how elections are won, and they're won with cash. And Donald Trump's campaign.
Buy them?
Yeah, that's what Citizens United told us. Is that?
Well, how are you going to win if you get your cash seized?
What? No, I'm talking about actually fundraising, not his personal cash. So the Biden campaign.
Successful, so he has no money. He just got
if you're
money from
actually
China.
saying he didn't get money from China, and that's why they've had to drop the stupid impeachment, because it was like from another planet. Can I just?
What, Jessica?
Great. Okay, thanks.
I wasn't
The
cutting you
Biden
off.
campaign. Well, hello. Yeah. Okay. So in February, the Biden campaign raised $53 million, which is the biggest fundraising haul that we've seen. The Trump campaign said they also had the biggest month ever, but refused to tell you how much that is. And the real problem is the small dollar donors, the people that you say love Donald Trump. They're not giving. He's down 63% from where he was at this point in 2019. You cannot win elections without people giving to your campaign, without caring about your campaign. And so they can stand out there and you can wear a Blacks for Trump t-shirt or a mugshot t-shirt. But at the end of the day, that's not
Would you rather have more money or higher numbers? Trump's got the higher numbers.
Right.
Okay, that's the end of it.
Yeah, he's actually overperforming and not fundraising as well.
And what messaging is going to work to turn it around? We shall see, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, to your point about they don't remember what Trump said. Maybe they do remember what Trump said, but they're more interested in what he did. The things about what he said.
But I just told you things that he did that were worse than the Joe Biden economy.
You made some crazy spin.
No, I didn't.
There's no spin here.
If someone said
this
to you,
is a
if
no
you're
spin zone,
a Black
Jessica.
American and you're being told that you should like someone more because now he's been indicted, you don't find that offensive?
I know that's your angle, that you're trying to like slap a felon on him because you think that will affect
Slap
it.
a felon. The judicial system is doing
Good for you.
No, Joe Biden's system.
Oh, come, Joe
Department of
Biden's
Justice.
Oh, come on.
Did Republican prosecutors indict him?
Are Republican prosecutors or
Answer
everyone?
move on.
Law
The question.
enforcement. Okay,
The
fine.
I
answer is
have
no.
to get time for Jesse's book.
Thank you.
Yes. Up next, hope you like electric. Your gas car could go bye-bye if Joe Biden gets his way.